Welcome back, students, for another day of learning. Our topic for today is all about the plate boundaries. The most essential learning competency that will be covered is describe the different types of plate boundaries. Still, I am your science teacher, Sir Roy M. Kapul. Here are the learning objectives. At the end of this video lesson, students should be able to describe the different types of plate boundaries, differentiate the types of convergent boundaries, and identify the various formations that occur on each type of boundary. Let us start first with the concept of tectonic plates. We all know that the Earth is consists of several layers. We have the crust, the mantle, the outer core, and the inner core. The mantle and the crust referred to as what we call as the lithosphere. Okay, the lithosphere comprises of the crust and the upper mantle, just as shown in the illustration. And then this lithosphere is broken down into pieces, what we call as the tectonic plates. These are pieces of the Earth's crust and uppermost mantle. Now we have the concept of the plate boundaries. As you can see in the illustration, there are lines, okay, in the tectonic plates. So these are the lines at the edges of different pieces of the lithosphere. That is what we are referring to plate boundaries. Plate boundaries are the edges where two plates meet. Therefore, most geologic activities, including volcanoes, earthquakes, and mountain building, take place at plate boundaries. When you look at this illustration, we think of the plate tectonic theory. According to the plate tectonic theory, the Earth's lithosphere consists of the crust and the upper mantle that moves slowly and constantly over time. It is because of the convection current that is happening within the Earth. This movement causes the formation of plate boundaries, namely the divergent, convergent, and transform fault boundaries. Here are the different types of plate boundaries. We have the transform, diverging, and converging. Let us discuss them one by one. When you look at the illustration, a convergent boundary, how are you going to describe the motion of the two boundaries or the two plates? We can say that the two plates move towards each other. The clue word that we can use for convergent is what we call as colliding. Convergent boundary is formed when two plates move toward each other. So there are three types of convergent boundary. Could either be oceanic and continental plate boundary, or between two oceanic plate boundary, or could either be between two continental plates boundary. We can also say that this boundary is also called as the destructive boundary. Here are the illustration of the different types of convergent boundary. As you can see, there could be an interaction or convergence between an oceanic crust and continental crust. Okay? And in figure number 6, you can see that there could be an interaction between two oceanic plates. While on figure number 7, we can see that there could be an interaction between two continental plates. So these three are the examples of convergent boundary. Let's talk about the different land formations that happen in the convergent boundary. The first one is what we call as the trench. A trench are formed by subduction, a geological process in which two or more of Earth's tectonic plates converge, and the older which is the denser plate, is pushed beneath the lighter plate and deep into the mantle, forming a V shape, just like shown in the picture. Another one is what we call as the volcanic arcs. It results from the subduction of an oceanic tectonic plate under another tectonic plate, and often parallel to an oceanic trench. Another important formation is what we call as the mountain. It forms when there is convergence between two continental plates. Since both plates have similar thickness and weight, neither one will sink under the other. Therefore, instead they crumple and fold until the rocks are forced up to form a mountain range. Okay? Let's talk about another type of plate boundary, which is the divergent boundary. So, try to look at the motion of the two plates. The two plates move away from each other. Therefore, we can use the clue word dividing for divergent boundary. Divergent boundary is formed when two tectonic plates move apart from each other, creating tension. Okay? Molten rocks called the magma rise from the Earth's mantle to the surface. The Earth's surface is cool enough to solidify the magma that rose, thus creating new oceanic crust or seafloor. Therefore, we can also say that a divergent boundary is also known as a constructive boundary. Now, there are formation within that happens during divergent boundary. We have here the mid-ocean ridge and the continental rift valley. The mid-ocean ridge is formed by the divergence between oceanic plates. Okay? While on the other hand, from the word itself, continental rift valley, that is formed during the divergence between continental plates, as shown in this illustration. So the first one shows us a mid-ocean ridge, and this one shows us the continental rift valley. The rift valley can be also found at the bottom of the ocean where seafloor spreading occurs. Both the formation of mid-ocean ridge and rift valley had occurrence of an earthquake. The last type of boundary is what we call as a transform fault boundary or transform boundary. Based on the motion in the illustration, we can say that here the two plates slip past each other. The clue word for this one is sliding. The transform fault boundary is formed when two plates are sliding past each other. It is also called as the strike-slip fault. Rocks that line in the boundary split into pieces as the plates slip at each other. Therefore, a crack is then created or formed, creating an undersea canyon or linear fault valley. So these are the different formation that happens in a transform fault boundary. Best example for that would be San Andreas Fault. Here are the references that I made use for this video presentation. Thank you so much.